Bible, but it's in some of the extra writings that I've seen over the years. But the people running that place that she was in, the timing couldn't have been more perfect because she's of the age where, okay, we got to marry the chick off. Now, there was a guy, a carpenter guy. He was an older man, and he was I'm not sure if he was a widower or what his deal was, but he needed a wife. And in the Jew thing, you don't run around by yourself. It's just not done. It's not cool. The good, I can see the good in that because honestly, I'm going to tell you the absolute truth. And this is from living a life that I've lived, okay? The happiest days are the days you're married and you have offspring or people that act as offspring. In my case, it was stepchildren that actually give a crap about you. And that you can actually give a crap about and have, it's really a wonderful thing. It really is the best way to be. Even though you might not think, no, I want to be rich. I want to have 50 odd chicks. I want to have this. I want to have that. But no. I mean, when it comes right down to it, it's not going to bring you the happiest experience. It's just not. It's just not. Trust me on that. I mean, if you haven't lived long enough to know that, believe me when I tell you that. Please. Having the wife and some kind of kid units is a good way to live. So this whole thing is my perspective. So that's my perspective on that. So anyway, they say, okay, well, we're going to matchmaker you, because they had matchmakers. That's how they did things back in those days in that time, especially in this story. So they matchmakered her into this guy's life, this Joseph guy, this carpenter guy. And think of him as a contractor, a construction contractor. Think of him as a construction contractor, and the story will make a lot more sense as Jesus is growing up in the house of this construction contractor. And they're not starving, they're not squalor, poverty stricken beings or anything like that. I mean, look at any contractor. It's not exactly like they're hurting. They're not rich, but they're not hurting either. So that's who this guy is. So they marry her off to him, and imagine him thinking, eventually he finds out, holy crap, they married me off to this girl, she's knocked up. So, he's going to be freaking out because, hey, this is like Jewland from way long time ago. In Jewland from way long time ago, you don't do stuff like that because they will kill you. It's like against the law, like big time. It's against the law, like big time. So they come up with a cover story and they work together on this because Joseph obviously likes this chick. And the chick is like, some poor little chick that's like scared out of her mind, like, oh my God, I'm knocked up and I'm so sorry and blah, blah, blah. And an angel did it. And oh, yeah, right, an angel did it. I gotcha. But anyway, so Joseph goes along, and eventually an angel starts talking to Joseph and has to tell him, stop friggin' tripping out. The girl's telling you the truth. This really did happen, and you're part of it now. Be happy. You'll be blessed. Everything will be cool. It's all kosher. Don't worry. Even though it's against the law, we're telling you it's cool. So don't be freaking out. So to make a long story short, that's what happened. That's the circumstances, the pomp and circumstances around the Christ. The Christ is coming into the planet and conceived in this way. Now, this is another. The reason I'm telling you this part of the story is because it's very important to understand this wasn't a normal guy. So all of you people that like to pretend that Jesus Christ was a normal human, understand, genetically speaking, this was not a normal human. It was not a normal human, okay? It didn't come along by normal means, and it wasn't a normal human. It was some sort of insemination process to create a special hybrid being. Christ was a specialized hybrid being. also the Messiah, according to all these weirdo prophets that run around their weirdo prophet lives in that time. He was a specialized hybrid being. Okay? Understand that. That's very important to understand. Because Christ has all these weird powers and teaches all this weird stuff and teaches his followers how to do these weird powers, which is another thing we're going to look at. But we're going to look at that through the perspective of 4 components because it still can happen today. It's just that our thinking is completely friggin' jacked up because they got on this whole religious trip about you're born with a default position to burn in hell, you scumbag worms. That's not what Jesus was saying at all. But I'm diverting the story. Let me get back to the story. All right, now let's jump forward to the birth of Jesus because a few weird things happen. A few weird things. They're very mystical. You need to understand that the Bible is a book loaded to the hilt with mysticism, even though the church never wants you to think that, especially the Protestant church because it scares that crap out of them. And it's also a book of physics, and they don't want you to understand that either because it takes away from the power they have over you through their religious means, all right? Called brainwashing. And that's not all of them, don't get me wrong, but in the past that used to be all of them, all right? All of them in the past, all right? Today we call this stuff ideology. Ideology. Now, let me talk about the weird things that were going on while this birth was occurring, okay? The days leading up to it and the days as it was occurring, okay? Now, here's some freaky stuff. In the cosmos, there was this giant star that shows up out of nowhere. What was that about? I have no idea. It was just really weird. A star shows up in the cosmos that everyone could see. Now, what is a star about? Well, there's these 3 magi people that come from the east. Pause right there. Let me explain something that's not a known. It's not a known fact, and nobody points it out. So let me point it out because it's very important to the story. Not only is it very important to the story, but remember, this site is called Wisdom Activist. Well, these 3 people were people that were entrenched and deeply, deeply, deeply studied in wisdom. The Bible calls them magi. Okay? Magi. 3 magi from the east. Now, where did they come from? Some of them came from Iran, also known as Persia. This is long before the Muslim thing, okay? Way before the Muslim thing. There was this guy over there. He was born about the same time as Buddha. And there was something going on the planet at the time of this. This is between 5 and 600 BC. And there, in this part of the world over there, a guy named Zoroaster was born. And in India, there was a guy named Buddha born. And I don't know, in other cultures, other people were born. But for sure, these 2 guys were born. This is 500-600 years before Jesus Christ was ever on the planet. And they were teaching wisdom. And if you think God doesn't like wisdom, and if you're brainwashed by the ideology that says, well, if it's not Christian, then you're going to burn in hell, you better rethink that, especially to understand the birth of Christ, okay? And understand what went on at the birth of Christ and who these people were. And also, you better rethink that if you want to understand the thread of God on this planet. You need to rethink that stuff. Okay, your idea of our heads are filled with religious ideologies and religio-politics. And for the 21st century, if we want to empower ourselves, we need to get over a lot of this stuff. I mean, bunches of it. More of it than you can imagine. But anyway, let me tell you this. So, long before the whole Muslim thing, because that didn't come about till like 600 AD. That Muhammad guy. I mean, you know, and the big things in those days were Judaism, Zoroaster, and this is the time when this guy Muhammad guy was around. Christianity was huge. Judaism was huge. And the form of Judaism where they came back from Babylon, okay, and added a whole bunch of stuff to their Judaism, that was huge. And then the Zoroaster thing was huge. Zoroaster taught a bunch of cool stuff, and you should really look it up. I mean, this guy does not get enough credit, okay? He really doesn't. He was teaching some really good stuff. Nothing even close to what Muhammad did, but, you know, I might be a little biased on that, but hey, man, you know, let the facts speak for themselves. Look up Zoroaster. He was teaching some really, really, really good stuff. And like I said, this is 500-600 years before Jesus, and you got to understand something. God is the creator of all of the DNA strains, not just the Jewish DNA strain, but all of the DNA strains on the planet, including India, including the Persians. So the creative force now and again tosses things into the mix that teach people, hey, here's how to get a better life, and here's how to bring more balance into your life. Buddha was one of them, and Zoroaster was another one. And I know you Christian preachers are probably going to want to throw rocks at me until I die and stone me. And it won't be with marijuana either. Let's stone him. No, we're not talking about marijuana. They're going to drag me out, bury me up to my head, throw rocks at me until I go unconscious and I'm off the planet. But I'm talking just the facts, just for the 21st century people. You guys with your ideologies, quit. Just stop already. You know, stop and pause. Maybe you should listen to this, okay? Now, one of the points I wanted to make, though, about Muhammad was Muhammad heavily borrowed from these three aspects. Just please keep that in mind. Now, the time looks like we need to go to another one. So we're going to go to Section G, and continue the story.